Hello, so welcome back to another video, I guess. So we finished chapter 1 of Our Life Now and Forever, so now we're just gonna play the moments. So yeah, let's start with walks. Yes. Oh, we have to change again. Okay. Okay, let's change the hair, I think. Hello? Okay, oh. Oh, the character's so cute. What hair did I have when I was little? My hair was very straight. It's not straight anymore. Okay. Ooh, oh, I don't know. Where's the other one? This one. My hair was not this neat, but it wasn't this messy either. Let's just go with this. Okay. Okay, now I probably should have done this before as well, but since it is autumn, I'm gonna give an overlayer. Let's get a nice little jacket, right? Yeah, this one. Let's make a nice this colour, yep. Clothes, alright. Oh, she's so cute. Okay. Alright. It was Saturday. One of the 2 days in the week when there was no school at all. That was too bad. You're excited for Monday already? You'd had lunch at home with Mum a little while ago. When she tackled the after-meal cleanup, your mum encouraged you to go outside while the weather was still good. There was only 17% chance of rain, she told you. And then she went on to ramble about how it seemed in this town anything over 20% was essentially a guarantee of at least some drizzle. The talk about weather had gone on for another minute before she remembered you were standing there listening. Mum urged you again to leave her to the dishes and go enjoy the weekend. It was under these circumstances that Mr. Q Lin had gathered both yourself and Tamarack Berman in the centre of the cul-de-sac for a neighbourhood meeting. He had something he wanted to ask. Do you have bikes? No. Oh, she doesn't have a bike. She came out with a reply immediately. What? Q's shouted reaction was even more instant somehow. His brain hadn't been prepared for anything other than a yes. How do you live without a bike? Like this. The golden-haired girl did a little jig to show how great she was at living with no bike. She tapped her shoes and waved her hands in the air. Q leaned his face away from the show. Alright, okay. What about something else? Anything with wheels? Just like that, her limbs flopped down again. Tamarack squished her lips from one side of her face to the other, thinking. I've got a scooter from my mum and dad in one of the closets. That works. Hugh rolled with the change in expectations, then he glanced at you. Reed? Yeah, I've got a bike. Whoa! Q's eyes sparkled. This conversation had finally gone the way he'd been hoping for. So you've got a bike, nice. Q viewed in relief. Finally, Q revealed the reason he'd been so keen on all this real talk. I'm meeting with the club today. Oh. Q's boys club, or boys club, whatever they decided to call it. Him and those two older kids. Oh. Okay. Baxter, the mysterious boy, and the one you weren't sure about. It is sort of a club thing, but you can hang out with us. I thought we could go on a ride together and everybody would like it. Q scratched the back of his head with his left hand. Was Samurai the only kid in Oregon who didn't have a bike? You did, and Q did, and his friends must have too, so maybe. It'll be okay if we go on foot. We've still got the whole afternoon and the whole group. I don't want to go to the stinky town. Sorry. Calling Walden Grove the stinky town got a stunned chuckle from Q, but Tamarack was totally serious. Why can't we ride things in the neighborhood? 'Cause we live here? We always stay in the neighborhood. It'd be cool to leave while we can. I bet even you'd like oh no. I am terrible at reading out loud. Okay. I bet even you'd like where we go, 'cause it's a park. There's plenty of trees and stuff around. Have you seen that, huh? It's on the opposite side of town from us, back where the high school is. The park is the best place to ride for speed and tricks. There's no cars or hills. But just walking around is good too. Tamarack narrowed her eyes in silence. That itself was an obvious answer to Q's question. She had not seen the park. Wait. You did, so did Q. The neighbor on the right was thinking hard. Then she let out a sharp gasp as she hopped into the air, like a tire popping. Is that the special thing? Whoa. Laughing and shaking his head, Q barely managed to give Tamarack a straight answer. No, it's not the park. That thing is solely in the forest. His snickers and voice got quieter the more they went on until you could hardly hear him. I don't remember I said that. I should have written it down before school. After the total swerve Tamarack had managed to pull, Q took control of the situation again. Yeah, I could show you that, if you want to do it. He had to laugh. He'd kept Tamarack waiting and it wasn't even part of the joke anymore. He forgot about it, that made it funnier. Q was solely unfazed by your reaction. He was so committed in going on with his own explanations. The rest of the club would come with us too. We'd have to give up on riding through town and seeing the park though. For someone talking about not doing what he wanted to do, Q's voice was light and carefree. Okay, I want to do the special thing. Cool. Okay. I don't know. Can we ride to the specials place? Then we could do both ideas. That'd be tough. There's no place to lock up the bikes and stuff nearby. And once we make it to the forest, the path would be too rocky and covered in weeds for Tamarack's scooter to ride over. The revelation deflated Tamarack's enthusiasm from 100% to maybe 60%. All we've got to do is make this work is to promise to hang out again. We can go to one place this time and next time we'll do the other thing. Everybody will get everything and nobody will miss out on anything cool. That fixes it. It looked like Tamarack wasn't committed to playing without the boys club after all. She just agreed to spend two weekend days doing so without blinking. In fact, she was super perky about it. The roundabout trip of the words Q laid out had taken Tamarack from a point of complete disinterest to feeling like boys club activities were pure genius. At some point, Q had shifted his hand behind his back. He kept the wide, I can't believe that it's all coming together grin as he popped up and down on the balls of his feet. The thing was, Tamarack would have gone over that without Q's fancy footwork. You were certain of it. He didn't need to try that hard. Q was crazily over the top with how he got along with people, but Tamarack was extra straightforward. Reed, you're the tiebreaker. I want to see the special thing and Q wants to do the other thing. Yeah, we need to vote. Baxter and Darren don't know the plan. And anyways, they're not going to care if it's running to the park or going to the forest place, especially if we're going to do both of them on different days. What do you think? He asked with great eagerness. This was the final step of the perfect plan Q had laid out. Okay. Truthfully, you'd be happy to hang out with Q and Tamarack no matter what you were doing. Yeah, we can go to special place today and the park another time. Alright. A successful resolution was reached. Q looked ready to do a victory lap around the cul-de-sac. Whoa! And Tamarack was ready to follow him. Or, considering it was Tamarack, she was ready to turn it into a race and win the victory lap somehow. It's a promise. It was. You and your friends had a promise. Step 1, walks. Oh. He started suddenly from a thought in his own head, eyes open wide. We're not going riding. I gotta call the guys so don't bring bikes. Be back in a second. Q gave a thumbs up and dashed away before anybody could say anything about it. Tamarack kept her eyes fixed on the retreating boy as if he might be trying to escape and not show her the special place after all. Q shut his house door behind him, and the neighborhood went completely silent. A realization came to you two in Q's wake. If you were leaving the neighborhood, your mum was gonna need to know about it. Mum didn't stop you from doing stuff, she just liked to be aware of what was going on. Tamarack, I'm gonna tell my mum where we're going. Okay, I'm gonna stay right here. Yeah, she was determined not to let Q get away from this. With that, you left. You found Mum in the kitchen and explained what was going on. She thought that was wonderful, appreciated you keeping her abreast of your busy schedule, and hoped you to have fun. Mum wanted you to be home before dark, though. You could do that. Tamarack waved from her spot on the road. She hadn't moved an inch and was the only one there. Q's job wasn't done yet. It took a long time of standing there, probably 10 minutes before Q came back. Eventually, though, he burst through the white door, yelling ahead of himself. He must have agreed that it took forever because he wasn't wasting even a second then. It's all good. When Q arrived at the center of the cul-de-sac, he wiped his forehead with a gloved hand, then talked some more. Everybody ready? Yes. Tamarack's voice was low and serious. I am very ready. I'm ready too. And so, you and your two neighbors set out for places unknown. Well, unknown to most of you. The first leg of the journey took you down the hilly road. It was the only path out of your neighborhood. You had to follow it even to get to a super secret location. Your small group marched along until you arrived at the heart of town. You had to crane your neck to take in full view of the swirling arch-marked Golden Grove. It towered over the main street and all the people in it. But it didn't distract you for long. You scurried out of the road before a car could come by. Q and Tamarack were right behind you. Being there felt different that afternoon. You had to pass through a part of Golden Grove on the way to school, and your mum had taken you around town to run errands and stuff. But none of that was the same as wandering the street just 'cause. For fun and because you could. Tamarack silently came up to your side. She made a squashed face out of sight of the local boy, conveying that she for sure still didn't like the stinky town. You couldn't get what was so cool. Q couldn't stay out of even a wordless exchange for long. He began to list out what exactly the buildings were. There's a barber shop, barber store, clothing place, a library, an antique shop, a thrifting store. At that, he paused the bullet points to fit in a sly joke. Though not like you can tell the difference between those two, they're both selling old junk no one wants anymore. Q and Samarak snickered together. Not even Golden Grove itself was safe from Q's teasing ways. My Omi loves antique shops and thrift stores. Yeah, she does. Oh, and down there on the corner is the corner store. You've never been in, right? It's a great place, tons of stuff, and it usually only costs a few dollars or less. I've got to say something about it, but let's wait for the club. And that's what he did. Q zipped his lips and pulled his thumbs. You guess he wasn't tired of keeping people in suspense, even if he was revealing one mystery. Tamara let out a sputtery breath and slumped against the brick wall behind you. Okay, we can wait again. You, Tamrak and Q held down the meetup spot. Random adults passed by every once in a while. Most of them said hello to Q. They knew him. Tamrak said hi to all of them. She didn't know those people. It took even longer than it did for Q to make those calls. But then Tamrak flung her arm towards the other side of the street. She sounded the alarm and brought an end to the watch. There! You followed her guideline. A pair of figures were speeding around the corner. Whoa! Darren Baxter! Q sprang to the curb of the sidewalk. He waved the other two over with both arms. The missing members of his club joined the group, settling exactly into place at Q's sides like the gloves he wore on each hand. Hi. Hey. Darren beamed at Q's enthusiasm for a second. It faded fast when he glanced at who else was there. Looking was all he did, though. He wasn't going to point out the obvious again. Darren had resigned himself to hang out with more than the usual boys club only trio. That was better than loudly being against it. Baxter's expression wasn't exactly happy either, even though he was smiling. That's because the smirk didn't count as being friendly. Hi. And Tamarak's greeting was exactly the same as the ones given to the total strangers who happened to cross her path. This was the first time you'd all gotten together to do something, and it was sure obvious. Alright people, we're here, we know the plan. Special place. Tamarak whispered those two words into her scarf, anticipation sharpening the tone. Yeah, but before we leave town, let's get supplies. The corner shop is right there. So that's what you'd meant before. You had been planning a detour to the store. No going to the woods unprepared, because the things in the woods are prepared for you. Exactly. Q could count on his club following his lead and instead looked to the biggest possible source of disagreement, Tamarak. Come on, we can pick out some stuff. It's gonna be great. Tamarak's eyes narrowed, almost like you'd given her a dare, and she was gonna beat it. Then she went for her message bag. From its depths, Tamarak revealed the plastic bag jam-packed with cashews, and it wasn't a snack-sized baggie, it was a sandwich-sized one. I've already got food. This isn't even all. I didn't have to pay anything. Darren brought a hand to his face, astounded. Hugh scratched his head at a loss. Baxter couldn't care less. He was not involved in the happenings. She actually is prepared. Huh, yeah. Guess you didn't have to do that. Your neighbours being on the same page about the plan hadn't lasted long. Q liked to ride places. Tamarak would rather walk. Tamarak brought her own treats. Q preferred to buy snacks on the way there. They lived on opposite sides of the cul-de-sac and lived opposite lives, and you were in the middle of it. Me, Darren, and Baxter have still got to stock up. Reed too, maybe. And it's fun to look around, you know. Tamarak crammed her bag of cashews into her bigger pack once more. Her face of pride had fallen to a frown. Fine, but after that, we have to go to the special place. Thanks. Reed? Sure, we can go in. Awesome. The now complete group's first order of business commenced. You crowded your way through the door at the end of the sidewalk. Having to exit on a single corner really didn't allow for much space for the store part of the corner store. The entire place was probably smaller than your classroom. It was warmer inside, and there was Scylla. Wooden panels covered the ground. Thick wood beams crossed the ceilings, and shelves tightly packed with familiar snacks were hidden wherever possible. Instead of being inside an extra small shop, it was more like being inside a gigantic treasure chest. You checked out the things closest to the front. Q wasn't kidding when he said it had a lot of stuff. Your light steps still clacked against the hard floor. They resounded above the slight hum coming from a fridge in the back. Nearby, Tamara swished her head this way and that to grasp everything in the new environment as rapidly as possible. On one twist, her eyes met with yours. She didn't keep going from there. Tamara continued to look at you. She grinned. It was easy for you to know what was on Tamara's mind. You and her were the same again. It was both of your first times being in this place. After everything you'd already done, you were still in your covers in this town. Meanwhile, Q and his crew moved into the store as if it was their own living room. They navigated to the ship and cracker aisle without thought. Left to confront the hundreds or thousands of things there to be bought, you unconsciously patted at the pockets of your clothes. When I was a kid, I didn't carry any money with me. All my money was at home. Thoughts on your personal savings were interrupted when your ears caught onto a peculiar conversation. A trio of boys had started chatting about something while wandering the aisles. We did it before, I don't remember. I can do it. The solution did not satisfy Mr. Culin. He groaned dramatically. You're probably the one who handled it last time. You don't remember that, remember? I know that much. Who was before the last time, me or you? Q definitively jabbed a finger to Darren's shoulder. Baxter was out of the equation for whatever that was. It's been a while since then. It could have been either of us. Refusing to accept the situation, so obvious he could see it from a distance, Baxter offered another suggestion. Hey, we could play rock, paper, scissors. Though he knew what he was doing. Every inch of Baxter's face and note of his voice expressed amusement. It wasn't only Q who was unimpressed then. Darren and Q heaved sighs in unison, dipping their heads low before smiling playfully at one another. You know, this is a good idea, right, Darren? Yeah, it will settle this perfectly. The tallest of the group pulled himself up even higher. Ready to test your luck, Autumn? Nah, I don't need luck. It's rock, paper, scissors. And then you heard something different. It was Tamarack speaking specifically to you, but loud enough that it could be heard halfway across the store. What are they talking about? Each one in the club turned to stare back at her, and the person next to her, you. Darren stuck his hands into the pockets of his vest and did that thing where he retracted his neck inward so he didn't have to face people all the way. We're figuring out whose turn it is to buy food. Instead of everybody buying a snack for themselves, our club takes turns having one person get all the supplies for the whole group to share. Why? Her big eyes were clear of any taunting. It honestly didn't make sense in Tamarac's mind. You pay a lot sometimes, or pay a little every time. That's not going to make it different. It's less boring. Oh. That simple line had actually kind of convinced her of the concept. For once, Baxter's contribution was accepted easily. Tamarack didn't have an interest in teasing him, and anything Baxter might have been up to didn't interest her beyond its face value. Right, this makes things fun. Fun or not, how much pocket money did those boys have? You couldn't afford a single gumball. Okay, you keenly watched the exchange, curious to find out how the game would go. It's okay if you and Reed want to eat from the pile too. We almost never finish it anyway. Thanks, I'll share my stuff as well. Awesome. Q breezily came back around to the original point. Let's get it out of the way. He leaned on his weight onto one foot, stuck out a hip and leveled a glance out of his club. When I get to be the Snack King, and the Snack King has to pay. Darren and Baxter both nodded, though only one of them did it with any concern for the possibility. Darren was a warrior. Rock, paper, scissors. The trio of boys chanted the 3 words, bouncing their fists to the beat. On the final point, they each made their move. Q and Darren had thrown down paper. Baxter was rock. He was a sole loser, which in that case was a win. He wouldn't have to buy the snacks. Okay, Baxter, get out. Fine. Baxter lifted his hands in defeat, eyes closed. For a second it seemed like he would take his bow without any smuggy business, except, "That was nice of you." He had one last line, given with a sneaky smirk. While you understood Baxter was being snooty, you didn't get exactly how. Q could only shake his head. "I figured you should know since you're going to be living here from now on. Baxter only uses rock." "What?" Tamarack went from dead silent to releasing a high-pitched yelp. The volume was enough to cover the entire store that time. "Yep, he never picked anything else in his whole life, I'm pretty sure. He hasn't for as long as I've known him, which is like 2 years. Why? Let me tell you." His eyes squinted along the bottom of his jaw from the nervous smile that pulled at his lips. Baxter's kind of diabolical. But true distress soon colored Q's face. He threw out his arms to physically get the emotions across. "Doesn't it feel like cheating to be him when you already know what he's gonna do? Me and Darren can almost never play rock paper scissors when he's in the game." The kid in question merely smiled with a lift of his chin. He saw no reason to explain or defend his devious behavior. Despite basically doing nothing, or maybe because of that, Baxter earned himself a friendly shove from Q. But this time it was alright because Baxter needed to be out of the game. This is a battle between me and Darren. Q finished ribbing Baxter so he could sharpen his features towards the real threat. "It's on now. I'm ready." The 2 competitors faced one of the 4 final bouts for the real competition. The title of Snack King and a whole lot of pocket change was on the line. The audience remained still as they prepared their weapons, and then it began. Rock, paper, scissors. On the word, Darren's fully gloved hands split into scissors. Q's partially gloved hand flattened to a paper once more. "No." The prongs of Darren's scissors instantly curled inward, but it was too late. No amount of regret changed the facts. Scissors beats paper. "We've cried on you, Snack King." Q managed to blurt out before doubling over with a riotous laugh. "Hooray, thank you for the treats, Snack King." Okay. Yeah, clapped around on his victory. Snack King didn't say a word, though the sitting on his face got a little less spiky. Baxter patted Darren's back in support. He had offered to pay for the snacks at the very beginning, and Darren could have used Baxter's strategy against him, but Darren never took the easy way. His victory was an honorable one. "Okay, I'll buy the snacks." "Yeah, you will. Let's pick them out already." "Sure, come on." With a surprisingly not cocky smile, Baxter stretched his arms all the way around Darren's shoulders. The pair of all the boys walked ahead. Q didn't follow. He waited for his friends to be a good few rows down before twisting around towards you and Tamarack. "Psst," he whispered through his teeth, beckoning you closer, all but glancing over his shoulder to keep watch. Tamarack took a hop forward, then looked back and forth. When the coast seemed clear, she leaned in to hear whatever message Q was going to deliver. It wasn't super polite to talk behind your friends' backs, but you were willing to hear what it was actually about. "I've got another secret for you. Darren doesn't like to play the same thing twice in a row, and he doesn't usually go for Baxter's move either. So most of the time after a round with Baxter and his rock, Darren ends up going for scissors. I could have let him off the hook too, but I thought it'd be nice for Darren to treat the new kids in town for a change, even if he's only doing it because he's the Snack King. Make sure to eat a lot of our stuff." That was something, for sure. He was a clever kid and a thoughtful one. Tamara squished her hands over her mouth. You could still hear the thrilled squeak she made. You and Tamarack's joy didn't go to Q's head. This was nothing, apparently. He shrugged up his shoulders while his arms were folded. "It's kind of funny. The game doesn't matter a lot because they're both so obvious." "Oh well. make a lot of decisions for the group or anyway. Spoken like a true club leader. You understood more why he kept showing up in front of you with plans out of nowhere. That wasn't his normal wife. Hey, we can get the snacks now. I decided it. She offered the suggestion sweetly. Technically, Q had already taken the idea a minute ago, but he grinned at the attempt. You both knew Tamarack was not somebody who left plans up to Q. Those two wanting to do the same thing wasn't always a bad thing, you guessed. That's good with me. Q strolled off to join Darren and Baxter again. Tamarack stayed hot on the boys' club's heels. She wouldn't be left behind whether she needed to go shopping or not. There was nothing to do except let the boys browse. Eventually, everyone getting something had their choice, and the 5 of you had gathered at the back of the store. Q was in high spirits over the conclusion. He'd picked out a bag of spicy, cheesy, crunchy chips. Baxter chose sour gummies. Snacking himself got some beef jerky. Darren marched straight to the counter and slapped down a $10 bill. He called to his club without turning around. Bring the stuff over. We've got to ring it up before I can buy it. Coming. Wow. Flashing that amount of cash was apparently unbelievable to Tamarack. She watched the exchange happen as though Darren was making food appear out of thin air. Maybe she couldn't have brought something even if she wanted to. Darren finished the purchase without any extra fuss. He got a big bag of treats and a little change, and gripped both tightly in his hands. The exchange made you think of Mom. Remembered her telling you about Oregon when it was a sure thing you'd be moving there. She talked about how there was no sales tax. The price on the sticker was the real amount you pay most of the time. Mom was funny and practical. Then the tax-free sale was done. Remember, snacking also gets the honor of carrying the goods for us subjects. Darren securely hooked the bag under one arm while stowing his coins in the pockets of his jeans. I know, Baxter. After a pit stop for more eventful than going shopping for snacks sounded like it would be, the crew of kids left the corner store behind. We're gonna go to the place now. Q made the announcement as he took the head of the pack. Tamarack was so fluffed up and excited about finally going to the special place, she didn't try to get in front of Q. Or it could have been because she didn't know where he was heading. Special place, special place. Big groups surrounding you and the brimming sense of eagerness kept the full chill away. You continued down Main Street for a few blocks, but soon had to turn down the side road. Whatever that special place was, it took longer to get there than the town and your school. It was beyond Golden Grove. The farther you went, the more of the forest took control of the land again. People-made structures retreated among the vibrant leaves, becoming fewer and fewer in number. Actually, it was a similar looking path to the one that led into your neighborhood. Instead of opening into a hidden neighborhood, the road you'd taken came to a sun-bleached parking lot. The only building left in sight was the diner. Oh, that's why it was familiar to you. You hadn't actually been through the streets that were similar. You'd gone down the exact way before, but in a car and at night. And now you were there again. On your own 2 feet, you'd gone to the very outskirts of a human civilization, the end of that being an old-fashioned and just plain old American food restaurant. In the entire giant lot, you had more fingers on one hand than there were cars parked. All 3 of the vehicles were clustered together in a single section out of the way. Q took a few steps forward, splitting off from the group gathered at the edge of the lot. There's a trail a little bit past here. It leads all the way up the mountains. His words projected loud enough through the wide open space, and he raised his arms with the sound. A wall of rustling branches in the distance framed the silhouette of Q's back. The forest looked impossibly thick that far from town. If you hadn't just been told there was a way through, you would have thought no one could go further. The Red Forks Ridge Trail. That's its name. Me and my brother and our mum and dad go hiking there sometimes. Q twisted his head over one shoulder, showing the edge of a bright grin. There's backing trails too, though I'm not allowed to go ride them yet. I've got to be older. He flapped a thumb and the rest of his fingers up and down against each other in a mocking imitation of his parents' past admonishments. It's too dangerous for a kid. What if you crashed? What if no one found you? The mountain isn't a joke. Ironically, he was making a joke out of the not a joke warning. Q's yakety-yak hand puppet shifted into a single arm shrug. At least we can walk. That sounds cool. It is for sure. Q's eyes started to wander then. He slowly turned his head to look out across the lot. You know, it's too bad Uncle probably isn't working. He does the late shift. We could have said hi. Wow, you have an uncle here? The one step was a complete shock to Tamarack. It was news to you too, Q laughed over it. He's not my real uncle. Kids he knows just get to call him that, like how your Omi is everybody's granny. Oh. Thinking about it, you might have seen Q's uncle when you went to the diner and not even known. That was weird. If he was here, we wouldn't have a choice but to say hi. Uncle keeps a close eye on what happens in the staff. Nothing gets past him. He'd have to come out by now to talk to us by himself. Q twirled around to face the four of you properly. He ended the spin by firmly planting his foot on the ground, if the attention wasn't entirely on him before it was then. After gaining an attentive audience, Q launched into a dramatic, according to him, tale. One time, a few papers from my notebook fell into the parking lot or something. I know that because when I was passing by a different time, Uncle called me over to give me them back to me. That never happens. He stated that definitively, insistently, only to immediately lighten up on that guarantee. Except for around Reed and Tamarack, you'd always make them appear out of thin air. Darren and Baxter shared a look out of the corners of their eyes. Q was much too distracted by his own storytelling to catch it. Darren's mouth tensed. Baxter's quirked up even more. You'd begun to wonder if Q's friends were simply too nice or too nervous to point out how Q lost papers every other day. Those two must have seen it happen 100 times, and somehow Q remained certain it was an impossibility. Maybe the other club members returned his notes in secret. Oh well, we don't have time for conversations today anyway. The finish line is right ahead. He threw a rallying fist into the air. Following the example set by the other boys' club members, he did not mention to Q how he'd started and continued all of that talking that happened since you got here. That was how the final stretch of your journey commenced. The diner table was left behind and so was the Golden Grove entirely. The road you followed out had no sidewalk. There was only a thin, rocky edge that separated tarmac from wilderness. Luckily, it was as devoid of cars as the parking lot had been. The only people passing through was a group of 5 kids. You wandered along until a patch of dirt opened out on one side of the street. There was a dotted sign with a fresh coat of dust declaring that this was the head of the Red Fox Ridge Trail, 6.8 miles and 1,456 feet of elevation gain. You spied a narrow path curling through the bushes and tree trunks. It soon disappeared past where you could see. The way it unfolded made a streak of pebbles feel playful, like the red fox of the ridge had left it behind only minutes ago and was daring you to chase after its fruit. Through here. Dan was suddenly in front of your eyes. It was a startling appearance to come after your imaginations. His spiky blonde hair and striking orange sweater was only fox-like. The Red Fox boy screwed up his face in confusion. Darren almost asked what that was about, but didn't. He kept going. You all did. There was no going back now. Advancing through a canopy dense enough to cover the entire sky, you made your way through the forest. No one spoke during the trip. Not Q to explain anything, not Tamarack to ask when you'd be there. Past the sounds of footsteps and snapping twigs, you could hear the bubbling water. It became more and more clear until... Oh! The woods parted, smoothed away by an old stone bridge, as though the earth was wearing a barrette on its barrette. Oh no. The woods parted, smoothed away by an old stone bridge, as though the earth was wearing a beret in its leafy hair. A crumbling set of stairs led to a trickling stream below. There was no mistaking it, this was a special thing. Tamarack sucked in a whistling breath and did not let it out. Her cheeks fully puffed out, and she stamped her feet as if she was revving up an engine. And then she was gone. Tamarack shot ahead, leaping from step to step until she was frolicking in the little valley below. Ah, wait for us! Q shouted after her, and then had the thought to move after her as well. He and Darren darted for the way down together, though Q took a shortcut by jumping for the stairs at the halfway point. Watch your step. Baxter whispered lightly to you. That was not a warning because he was worried. It was Big Kid's test to see if it'd shake your nerves. He danced down the several right off there without a care in the world. You stayed right in the middle and took even steps, one by one. You reached the ground completely fine. Oh, this is awesome, wow. Hey Darren, you can leave the bag near the stairs. We'll eat them later. Q took huge strides down the slight hill, holding out his arms for balance. He joined up with Tamarack, who crashed by the water. Are there fish in here? Or frogs? Maybe. I think I saw something move in there before. But it's a great place, huh? Tamarack's rosy face went blank for a blink. Was it a great place? All the anticipation had built up. All the joy from the incredible realization of the answer burst forth in the grand cheer. Yes, it's a special thing. Yeah, it's amazing. So amazing. You and Tamarack basked in a shared excitement no one but you and her could feel. It wasn't new to anyone else. It wasn't that important to other people. But the joy over it could be doubled because you had each other. Then she sprung onto her rainbow-clad feet again. There was more yet to see. Climbing over the mossy stones and looking under them too, the groups spread out to explore. The air there called you through. You could feel its chill against the roof of your mouth and teeth with every breath, like the aftermath from eating a mint. It wasn't only the autumn season, and the wind rushing through the valley, though those two were parts of why. Being so close to water added a third layer to the unique type of hold you experienced at the special place. It really was a land set apart from everything else. While clambering about, Tamarack imagined a fairy tale about a mysterious creature that lived under the bridge. She never set foot there until that day, but was certain she was an expert on its history. That was exactly like her. Eventually, Tamarack made a different kind of explanation to the ground. I'm gonna cross the bridge now. She had already begun itching that way. Yeah, check it out. I'll think about what to do while we're here. We could play a game or something. Hugh, Baxter and Darren stood as a unified front on that, come up with a plan, despite Hugh doing all the talking. Okay, I'll come back later. Wait, I'm not across the bridge too. Then come on, let's go see the bridge. The boys waved you off on your short trip. Tamarack skipped over the stairs and you climbed them too. At the top, Tamarack strolled along by your side. She was usually a speedy girl, but if it was to stay with you, Tamarack could take it easy sometimes. Tamarack glanced at the trees clinging with thick roots to the hillside and the carved logs that created the path suspending you above the ground, completely enchanted. From those fantastic stories and the sparkles in her eyes, Tamarack might have believed there was real magic to be found there. You went to the opposite end, peering into the mountain path beyond, then looped around the way you'd come. Halfway on the second crossing, Tamarack paused to glance over the valley. Look at them down there, so little. Tamarack was smiling softly over that. But then, with no warning, her lips stretched into something mischievous. Tamarack's gaze had gone far away. She silently gripped the strap across her shoulder. With the idea finished coming to life in her mind, Tamara got into action. Started by taking the bag off and dropping it on the bridge with a thud. Next, Tamara crouched down to under the front straps. What are you looking for? She giddily hee-heed. I have an idea. Tamara rummaged through inside with both hands on her tongue sticking out until... Got it. She yanked out a lumpy bumpy something. You only caught a glimpse before she was gone. Tamara crossed the railing and just about tackled the stone wall. She shot her face out over it. She needed to lean onto her tiptoes to get that far. The vantage point was used to great effect as Tamara let out a shout that echoed through the entire valley. Boys! Intrigued by what was happening, you approached the railing and glanced below. There was a very confused boys' club gathered in a bunch, looking straight up at you and Tamarak. They had moved from one side of the stream to the other at some point. Tamarak thrust a closed fist over the side of the ridge. Between her fingers was the bag of cashews from before. She shook it about. Tamarak had a challenge. If I throw these cashews from up here, do you think you could catch them? Every eye and mouth in the audience popped open wide in surprise, and then the crowd went wild. They reached their hands to the sky, shouting in unison. Yeah! It was like seeing a nest of baby birds when their mom dangled dinner overhead. Tamara chuckled again. She pulled from the edge partway to settle on the balls of her feet. At a normal talking level, Tamara spoke words for you. If they missed, animals can eat it. It's just nuts. You can throw too, or you can go down if you want to catch. Okay, me and you will be an unstoppable throwing force. Whoa, this is the fun part. Tamarak pulled open the zip-sealed pouch of ammunition. She plopped it on the edge between you and her. You'd have plenty of to work with. Who knew packing a full-size bag of cashews would come in handy for something like this? Tamarak, you guessed. The leader of this new game selected one single cashew off the top. She stretched out over the drop again. In 2 fingers, Tamarak daintily dangled the first prize. Paper airplanes and now cashews. Tamarak certainly liked throwing things at people. Ready? After a unanimous clamour rose from the boys' club. Ready! With a flick of her wrist and no final warning, the knight sailed across the air. Players scrambled to be wherever the cashew was going to land. It went straight down, bounced through a stone, and rolled away, never to be seen again. No one got close. The gang, desperate fever frizzled. All glances were set about the field. That was just a test one. Q's excuses amused the other kids, getting slight smiles to spread, but there was truth in it. Players had much better idea of the landing zone. Maybe next time or the time after, somebody will get something. Yep, here we go. Someone as enthusiastic as her wouldn't stick to that pace. It was only the starting shot after all. She shoveled the cashews into her palms, then shimmied her arms back and forth above their heads. Now shivered from her hold without pause, at least until she had to reload. The game was on. You sent a single cashew down at a time, aiming with care. Yep. The frenzy reached new heights as everyone went in dizzying circles, stumbling over the uneven ground and leaping for the golden-ish coloured medals. Baxter took the simplest method of catching stuff. He used his hands to snatch out the falling snacks. Q and Darren bent their necks face towards the sky. They attempted to sink a nut directly into their open mouths. You'd been way righter than you thought when you pictured them as chicks hoping for food before. The waves of cashews Tamarak and you sent down were unforgiving. It more than kept the boys' club on their combined 30 toes. Okay, they'd need double the amount to even try keeping up. In the heat of competition, you glimpsed the coming of a mistake. It happened faster than anything could be done to stop it. You and Darren slammed directly into each other. The impact brought both toppling over directly into Baxter. Keeping his eyes ahead didn't save him. Baxter went down with the rest of his club. The trio landed in a heap as helplessly as the cashews no one caught. The two boys rolled over their backs in the grass, holding their poor faces. The third was flat out on his stomach, blinking in surprise. Are you guys alright? Tamara cupped her hands together, stopping any more cashews from falling. Yeah, are your heads okay? From youngest to oldest, the group started climbing to their feet again. They brushed off leaves and grass, and a couple of cashews sticking to their clothes. Baxter helpfully plucked debris off his body's backs until they couldn't reach. Q inhaled deeply, tilting far back to drop his hood into his shoulders, and responded to the concern loud enough for all to hear. I'm good. The boys' club had a little group talk afterwards, but that part was too quiet for you to hear. It ended with Q shooting off a thumbs up, so things must have been okay. There was a relief. You didn't think you'd ever been happier to have him thumbs up you. And so, the men resumed, more careful this time. Baxter caught another nut, then a good few more after. His palm gradually filled with cashew chunks, which was not easy to pull out. And then the unbelievable happened. One of the nuts dropped directly into Darren's gaping mouth. Darren was so surprised something hit his tongue that he coughed and spat the cashew out. That didn't diminish the glory of the feat. In fact, it only proved for sure that he'd done it. You could make that out even from the top of the bridge. The bridge. All eyes were on Darren again, though for entirely different reasons than a minute ago. Meanwhile, his gaze had suddenly gone up to you. The nut he caught was the one of yours. He waved. He was welcome. Baxter and Q crowded around the champ, slapping his shoulders and ruffling his hair. That was technically competition against each other, but one of them was triumphant, and it was the victory for the entire club. Darren grinned at the attention, breathing hard from exertion. His cheeks and the spot where Q's face had smacked into his chin were all red. Still, the bag was empty. Tamara didn't declare it so yet. This would be the last hurrah. Despite the chaos below, you and Tamara worked together in perfect rhythm. Yeah! Soon the bag had been so stuffed it could hardly close was left barren. Only a few broken bits and salted dust remained in folds of plastic. Tamara brushed her hands together and made a call. That's all, the cashews. That stamped out the excitement quicker than when the first nut hit the ground. Q bent forward like a sagging bag of nuts. His head hung low and his arms dangled down in front of him. It couldn't even be more exaggerated show of disappointment. You could make it out clearly even from up here. On the flip side, the mastermind of the event was lighter than air. It was great. Tamara popped both her elbows on the stone railing. She propped up her cheeks on her palms. It made her wide smile all squished, although it got her face messy with cashew crumbs. She didn't care about either. The boys' club is pretty funny. Remember when they all fell down? Nobody up are gonna love that, hearing about this. Tamara rested there, giggling and tapping the back of her heels together. That was until her attention was taken by one of the funny boys' club boys. Hey, meet us at the stairs. Hugh stuck one arm towards the spot. He used his other hand to cup his mouth. We're gonna eat the other snacks. Coming. Years of a new activity made Tamara bounce in celebration. She was energized for the next bit of fun. Okay. Tamara shoved the ransacked baggie into her top overall pocket, donned her big pack, and skipped across the ridge. She wasn't litter. That was fun. She wouldn't litter. Oh no. She wouldn't litter. That was for sure. I cannot read. Oh no. You returned to the world below the bridge with her. With treats having ready, the entire group regathered at the steps nestled into the hillside of the valley. Three kids settled down, the shortest one at the highest point, going up in size and down in level from there. Tamarack had come from the top, so she didn't go down too far towards the ground. Q took the lead for his club and sat on the step directly under her. Darren was on the spot behind Q. Baxter, however, only leaned his shoulder against the cobblestone wall. Okay, so I'll sit next to Q, I guess. He usually let you join him on the mossy slab. You couldn't sit together at school, but no one could stop you from doing it right here. Your seat was a little damp and a whole lot hard, but it was great to finally not be on your feet. You'd walked through the whole town, explored the special place, and were standing during the entire cashews of the bridge game. Q casually hung his legs over the side of the stairs. Darren plucked a knee up near his chest while the other leg was resting across the step. Tamarack planted her feet onto your and Q's spot. She welcomed both of you playfully with her boots. I gotta say, Q pointed a finger in the air, calling for the latest meeting of his club. Even though Tamarack and you still weren't members. You had a really good idea there, Tamarack. Smiling sweetly with her hand in her lap, Tamarack sincerely appreciated the praise. Thanks, Q. However, Mr. Q then might have initiated the discussion, but Tamarack brought it down to business. Who's the winner? We're all winners. He offered the idea optimistically, or maybe hopefully was a better word. In the end, Q was the only one who never managed to get anything. No. His hopes were flatly denied. Littering in the forest and soft-hearted ideas of not choosing a single winner were two things Tamarack couldn't stand by. Someone has to win, but what counts as winning? Oh, that's a tough call. Baxter had the most, but Darren did something pretty crazy. That should count for more than one catch. It's your game, Tamarack. Make a point system. She crossed her arms and squeezed her knees together, throwing the serious effort she was putting into thinking. Tamarack sat like a round nut, waiting to be cracked. And what broke through was a fresh, devious smell, even more twisted than when she came up with the game to begin with. If you caught it with your mouth, that's more points than catching it a lot with your hands. But it doesn't count if you split it out. Darren's spine went rigidly straight in an instant. Before crouching down more than ever, he crowed defeatedly. This had gotten him more ruffled than when he hacked up the cashew. Baxter wins. Darren's fuzzy black gloves were balled into harmless-looking piss. He also wanted to argue that his efforts should count for something, but he was unable to put those words together right to a girl's face. That had to be exactly why Tamarack made the rules unfair against him. Baxter chuckled under his breath. Clever. So the victor was crowned, and he gave his short acceptance. Congrats, Baxter. Though Baxter acted as if he didn't care a tiny cashew crumb if he won or lost based on Tamarack's made-up rules that she decided on after the game was already over. Darren continued to pound in his nook the whole while. Thankfully for him, he had a pal who never let things stay sad for long. At least we can all agree who lost. Me. At least we can all agree who got lost. Me. Q shifted from angling for a no-win situation to confidently accepting his status as the bottom rung. The plan succeeded when his nut-catching strategies failed. It made Darren faintly smile. Q gave a wink and was stopping there. You other guys are taller. That gave you the edge, don't forget. There was a laughter and light-hearted smiles up and down along the steps. It was only just those days where everything was funnier than it was frustrating no matter what. Okay, Snack King, enjoy your spoils. Snacking gets a pick first. There are many unknown rules and regulations for the status of snacking. You are learning a lot. Q loudly stretched open the handles of the bag, holding its delicacies out for Darren. He took his beef jerky. That was the last thing needed to make him fully content again. Pass me the gummies. Baxter got his treats as requested. Then Q moved on to you. Read. Oh no. Okay. He got jerky, and he got the gummies. Can I have some gummies too? You can, as long as you're not eating all of them. I won't. Good. He promptly filled your hand with crystal-coated goodies. Yeah! Q secured his chips last before stuffing the corner store bag into a crevice on his step. You tossed a few pieces into your mouth and immediately felt rewarded for your choices. It was great. The group who planned the food detour easily settled into a snack-sharing semicircle. Baxter had bent over the stairs to be closest to the ones sitting down. No boy was empty-handed, and none of them were limited to just the treat they chose. Q and Darren's gloves got completely coated in powdery snack bits in record time. It was then that Tamara rejoined the conversation. She had been quietly sifting through her fully stocked messenger bag while Q had been dividing up treats. Here's what I got. And what she got was a yellow rectangle the size of a large chocolate bar, though that wasn't chocolate. The brightly coloured block made Q giggle. We're lucky you didn't chuck that big thing at us. Are you sure? It would have been very easy to catch. I'm sure. I'm alright with not catching anything. Darren couldn't help but interrupting the back and forth with dubious curiosity. What is it? Fake cookies. You've never heard of such a thing in your life. Tamara tore open the wrapper with gusto. Then she slid out a tin couch cushion looking cookies. It was flat on top and bottom with a dark brown filling in the center. That's nasty, let me try. Wow. Why would I try that? Hey, take a piece. Tarak pinched the top and pressed it down. The cookie was the soft kind, more like a snack cake. It smushed and bent until a chunk separated without a snap. Then she placed it in your waiting palm. Oh, I have had those before, like once or twice. I remember them now. She looked up at the latest exchange of goods. He scratched his cheek. Could I try it too? Sure. Thank you. Tamarak passed a small section of the spongy cookies onto Q. I'll try the cookie. Another simple request came in before she'd finished pulling her fingers away from Q. Tamarak took a second to yank off a corner and stuff it into her mouth before nodding. She rolled the cookie away even more to share with Baxter. He tossed it into his mouth just like that. Only a 1-inch square was left of the bar then. Her snack almost got finished faster than any other. You take it. She hadn't said his name, but her eyes were set directly on Darren 2 steps lower. He didn't react. Apparently, if he didn't address something, it wasn't there. Or you might not have even realized she was talking to him. Darren had changed his sitting position to take on the appearance of a folded chair. Not only were both desks pulled up, but his arms were over his knees and his face was lowered down into them. Q gave the back of Darren's blonde head a nudge. Anybody home? Without a word, Darren tilted his neck like he had during the game. Tamarak was already leaning over to dangle the last bit of cookie over his face. He carefully reached out and plucked the gift from Tamarak's hold as if he was picking up a real fake off a branch. It made a sense in a way. Tamarak's name was the type of tree. Thanks. Oh, you look so sad. Tamarak brought his fingers closed around his new cookie. He kept staring upwards at Tamarak. That had to be records for the longest time he'd held eye contact with her. You can have a piece of jerky. Everybody can. Yay, sharing! Thank you, but I don't want that. Oh. Before that could get real awkward, Tamarak's attention sparked on a different idea. It worked out for Darren, though she hadn't done it to smooth her bluntness over. Tamarak was like that. She had a lot of energy. I have something else too. And that something else was the bare baggie of cashews dust taken from her overalls. Seeing her bring that out now was more confusing than when she first pulled it out from her bag on the bridge. Tamarak snickered at the loss she'd left the group at and her own secret scheming. She poured the scraps into her hand and returned the now completely empty bag into the pocket it came from. Tamarak shot out one of the tiny pieces right at Q. Q's defensive instincts kicked in, and he snatched it before it could hit him in the face. What was that about? You got one. Cashew that I threw. Q gave a lopsided smile and ate a little piece. Guess I did, thanks. Tarak was sweeter than any cookie. I don't know. You went back to eating the food you got from Baxter. The conversation took a turn when Q chirped up with a question. So, what do you think? Of what? What else? He gave Tarak a slick smile. Her attention was what he'd been trying to grab. The club. Oh. I shouldn't say anything else. That was okay, Q continued on himself. You've gone to see what it's like, and it's pretty great, huh? You can still join if you wanna. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'll join. Yes! Q gave the air a 1-2 punch. He managed a real success that day. He was so proud to welcome you into his gang that neither of the existing members did anything that might have dampened their leader's mood. Even Darren, who hadn't wanted girls in the boys' club. Or it was possible that it wasn't about Q, not just about him anyway. Maybe the two boys were okay with having you around after all. No matter the reason, you'd been accepted as an official member of the boys' club. Only one person was left out of that loop. Tarak thought longer about the question than she had the first time Q invited her. She gave it real consideration. But the answer wasn't different. No thanks. At least, mostly. There had been development over the afternoon you experienced. Tarak was quick to add it in. I still like you, Q, and I like playing with Baxter and Darren. Really? Thanks. You do? Q's left and right hand boys were amazed. Baxter in amused disbelief, and Darren in that he didn't have a single clue what to do. Okay, that was a surprise for her. As for you, you felt the same about those boys. Q became a calming force on the little crowd, a steady rock against the winds of emotion, which was not unusual for him. You know, that's cool. I think it makes sense for you. It's a Tamarack way. That was the end of that for the day, and maybe forever. Q managed to be at peace not having everybody he knew in his official club. So you were partially a club and completely a group of kids hanging out at the bridge together. Q took a turn trying to toss cheesy chips into Tamarack's mouth. She squealed every time she missed and whooped every time she didn't. Baxter rested along the wall, watching the game with semi-interest. He batted away shots that had misfired or bounced off of Tamarack. Darren nibbled on the last bits of Baxter's sour gummies. He was keeping score while Q and Tamarack kept their heads fully in the game. It was kind of like a picnic, except there was no blanket or basket, and it was a lot colder than what you'd usually imagine for a picnic. Yeah, we're glad you did this. The snack tossing continued on. 4. Ah, wow. It's lucky I was throwing before. I would have gotten all that cashews. What? It's way easy to catch stuff from here. I'm like 1 foot away. Yeah, but I still think I'm good. Tamarack cheered. There'd be no compromising on that. Fine. Those two definitely did disagree on a lot of things, but it was equally certain that they were friends in their own silly way. And they were your friends too. That day, across that town into the treasure chest store, up a mountain and across the bridge could only be described as an adventure. You were going to remember it for a long time. Ah, okay. Wow. Okay, let's save here. Alright. Return to game. I think that's it for today. Yeah, we'll play this one next time. I mean, I'll play this one next time because you're not. Yep, okay. So we'll play Wheels next time, and then after that we'll be doing the Step 2 preview. And then I don't know how long this game is, or when like the full thing will come out. But I think if it does plan on releasing in like bits, I'll probably wait for the full thing to come out first, and then maybe do a replay, like a big replay. But yeah, whatever. Thanks for watching the video and sticking around if you made it to the end. Yeah. Bye.